Hey, Battletech kiddos. So, this episode, I'm going to revisit a series that I have not returned to for a while, but it's one of my favorites, which is my series of recommendations for cheap mechs, mechs that don't cost very much battle value. And in the previous episodes, I've made it recommendations of mechs that cost less than 1,000 BV. I'm going to start relaxing that a little bit, and instead I'm going to say in this video, mechs that cost less than around 1,000 battle value. So we'll be getting up into like about the 1,100 battle value territory. There's a lot of great mechs that just slightly exceed 1,000, and I wanted to highlight some of those because I think they're good value mechs in the same way that those under 1,000 BV mechs that I've talked about in previous videos are good value mechs. So number one on today's list actually does come in under 1,000, and this is the Strider G, the G configuration of the Strider Omni-Mech. This is a configuration that shows up in the Jihad era when multi-missile launchers are introduced. Now, the first thing to notice about this mech is the resilience compared with its cost. For less than 900 battle value, you're getting a 40-ton body. It doesn't have perfect armor, but it does have a standard fusion engine. So this thing can stand up to some solid punishment actually. And all of the forward areas have more than 10 points of armor on them. So it's going to take some effort to breach that armor, even though it's not absolutely max armor on board this Strider. Now, the thing that's always been kind of sucky about the Strider as a weapons platform is its single heat sinks. And yeah, that's a significant limitation. But the nice thing about this Strider variant is the way that its weapons line up with those heat sinks. The mech has 10 heatsink capability, and its main weapons are 2 MML7s for 8 total heat. So the thing can run and fire those 2 MMLs, and you're meeting that heatsink capacity. Or if you want to stand still for some reason, although with this mech's movement you probably usually don't want to stand still, but if you do, then you could sub in a small laser, one of those ER small lasers, and you get up to 10 heat again. Or if you want to push your heat, you add those 2 ER smalls and you get up to 14 heat. You're not really taking penalties yet. It's just such a nice heat curve on this mech. And the multi-missile launchers are just such versatile main weapons. You can use this thing for a little bit of fire support, or you can use it to run in and blast targets with SRMs. If you do that, it hits with significant force, kind of like a Jenner would hit. But again, it's a lot more resilient than a Jenner. You know, the mech has really nice combat capabilities. Additionally, it makes a pretty good battle armor transport. You put some battle armor on board this thing. It doesn't have its movement reduced because it's an Omni-Mech. So you're running 9 hexes with battle armor on board. That's speed that can get battle armor right where it needs to be fairly quickly. It's not the world's best battle armor transport, but it's pretty good at that task. So ultimately, my view on this mech is that it's just such a great jack of all trades. And if I'm playing one of the factions that has this mech available, and I've got some extra battle value sitting around, this is one of my go-to designs to just throw in without any particular role in mind for it, but it's just always going to do something useful, and it's really affordable in terms of battle value for what it's capable of doing. Looking now at a real bargain basement design, let's take a look at the Os Scout 7K, which is a mech that has no weapons, only a tag spotter device on board. Despite this, the mech has really awesome things that it can do on the field. Obviously, if you're playing with Arrow 4, this is an extremely useful mech. Most of the time we don't play with artillery. You know, that's just a thing that where if you're balancing for battle value, artillery is just so undercosted that things become kind of a mess. But just set aside that tag capability that this mech has. It's just an excellent jumping kicker and an excellent objective runner if you're playing a mission where, let's say, you need to get close to something and scan it or something like that, or you need to occupy an area of the map. The Os Scout is perfect for getting to those objectives. And because of that lack of weapons, the battle value is just so low. You can take this mech with a very skilled pilot on board, excellent piloting skill, and you can just fly around and kick things, okay? With that kind of pilot skill, your kicks will land almost automatically against a lot of targets, even if you're jumping. You could potentially do death from above attacks if things get really dire. So there's just a lot of cool physical attack moves you can make with a mech like this. It's really kind of a unique design, and some of the best players make significant use of this mech in tournaments. Now we're getting into that territory of, well, it's not quite less than 1,000 battle value, but it's just a little bit over 1,000. And I wanted to look at the Night Sky 5S. Now everybody knows the original Night Sky that has jump jets, but this is the one that omits the jump jets. So what do you get if you take off those jump jets? Well, you save yourself about 100 battle value. It's almost an even round 100 battle value, which is quite a significant discount on a mech like this. It's almost a 10% discount. Now, probably a lot of the time I would still want to have those jump jets if I can afford them, but some games I can't afford them, and some games you might be limited in how much jump you can bring to the table. So if you're in that kind of a situation, this mech is an excellent second best choice compared with the regular Night Sky. This Night Sky is basically like a Wolfhound except with pulse lasers. And of course the pulse lasers are just going to make its attacks so much more consistent and on average so much more hard hitting than the attacks that the Wolfhound is capable of. It does have an XL engine, but that's fine. It has pretty good armor, and it's got a 50-ton body instead of the Wolfhound's 35-ton body. So I really like this mech. It just makes an excellent kind of backup flanker mech to send up kind of beside your brawler mechs, for example, and just try to angle around enemies or just provide some extra support for something bigger that is engaging up close with your enemy. Now for earlier eras, a similar design that is almost the same battle value cost is the Phoenix Hawk 1K. This is a Phoenix Hawk without the jump jets. So basically the way that it works is it's kind of like a 3020s Wolfhound except with a lot better armor and internal structure. So you have here a kind of a zombie mech that's got strong speed, really solid armor, like basically maximum armor for its tonnage, and a laser armament that it can pretty much fire at its maximum with the heatsink capacity it has. It's just going to be a really general good all-purpose fighter. So what we're seeing here is a series of these mechs that kind of move at the 6'9" movement rate and are just awesome little support mechs that you can throw in if you have some extra battle value sitting around. They'll always be useful. It's always really useful to have a mech that moves at this kind of medium fast speed, isn't so easy to take down, and brings some firepower to the table that's going to be useful backup for your main guys. And I always like to end one of these videos with a clan mech selection. As I've said before on previous versions of videos in this series, the thing that makes a low-cost clan mech good is if it has a lot of speed and a lot of really heavy firepower at short range. So I wanted to highlight the Piranha, which is a classic in terms of bringing those kind of capabilities to the game. You know, of course, everybody loves taking out the calculator and figuring out what the Piranha can do to infantry platoons. And yeah, I mean, this thing can butcher an entire regiment of infantry in one turn or whatever if you find yourself in that kind of situation. But even if you're not fighting infantry, well, the fact that those machine guns don't do any heat makes the Piranha able to just fire all those machine guns at the same time. So here's a mech that can just come up behind something and hit it with so many little machine gun blasts, especially if you have something that has weakened armor or that has low amounts of rear armor, right? Like a kind of medium mech that spends most of its armor points on the front arcs. This Piranha can really get up there and pierce that armor, maybe with its ER medium lasers, and just crit seek like crazy with those machine guns. All right, thanks for watching as always, folks. Those are my mech recommendations, or mechamendations, as I guess you could call them, for today. That's all I've got for you. Have a great one. Have a great couple weeks until you hear from me again.